The medical ship Mercy's Light floated in high orbit above Praxis 7, its white hull marked with the symbols of healing that every civilized species respected. Inside, the recovery wards were filled with soldiers from the battle that had ended 2 days ago. Veltar walked through the corridors, visiting the wounded and trying to make sense of everything that had happened. The Axiom recovery ward was quiet and orderly. Injured soldiers rested in individual pods designed to minimize stress and promote healing. Soft music played in the background. Medical staff moved silently between patients. It was peaceful, designed to help traumatized soldiers recover both physically and mentally. The human recovery ward was chaos. Veltar stood at the entrance and could not believe what he was seeing. Humans with missing limbs were sitting up in their beds, laughing and talking with other patients. A soldier with bandages covering half his face was playing some kind of card game with 3 others. 2 humans with serious injuries were arguing cheerfully about something trivial. And they were singing, not mourning songs or quiet prayers. They were singing loud, happy songs about going home and seeing loved ones. Songs about surviving against odds. Songs about fallen comrades who had fought bravely. The entire ward felt more like a celebration than a hospital. "Commander Veltar," someone called out. It was Private Yuna, the medic who had been wounded multiple times but refused to stop working. She was sitting up in bed, her leg in a support brace, waving at him with a smile. Veltar approached her bed carefully. "Private Yuna, you should be resting. Your injuries were severe." "I've been resting for 2 whole days," she replied cheerfully. "I'm going crazy just lying here. Doctor says I can start physical therapy tomorrow. Should be back on duty in 2 weeks." 2 weeks? You have injuries that would take an Axiom soldier months to recover from. Yuna shrugged. "Humans heal fast, Commander, and we're stubborn. The doctors keep telling us to rest, but we all want to get back to work. There's still hive-born out there that need fighting." A human soldier in the next bed, missing his left arm below the elbow, leaned over. "Commander, you should see the new prosthetics they're fitting us with. Advanced military grade. I'll be back in action before you know it. Might even be better than before." Veltar looked at this human who had lost a limb and was excited about returning to combat. "Do you not wish to go home? To leave the military after such injury?" The soldier laughed. "Commander, I joined the military knowing I might get hurt or killed. Getting injured is just part of the job. Besides, my squad is still out there. I'm not leaving them behind just because I lost an arm." Veltar spent another hour in the human ward, talking with wounded soldiers who should be traumatized, but were instead making plans for their future. They discussed their injuries like minor setbacks. They talked about fallen comrades with sadness but also with pride. They seemed determined to make sure that every sacrifice had meaning. Later, Veltar found Lieutenant Nari in a private room. She had taken command of human forces after Captain Doyen's death, and had led them through the final stages of the battle. She was staring out the window at Praxis 7 below, her expression distant. "Lieutenant, may I come in?" Nari turned and tried to smile, but it did not reach her eyes. "Of course, Commander, please sit." They sat in silence for a moment before Veltar spoke. "How are you managing? Taking command under such circumstances could not have been easy." "It wasn't," Nari admitted. "Captain Doyen was a good leader. A good man. He taught me everything I know about command. Now he's gone and I have to fill his place." She paused. "I wrote letters to the families of everyone we lost. 47 letters. Each one telling someone that their loved one died bravely, that their sacrifice mattered, that we won because of them. Do you believe that? That their deaths mattered? I have to believe it, Commander, because if I don't, then I sent those people to die for nothing. And I can't live with that." Nari turned to look at Veltar directly. "We won this battle. The Hive-born command structure is destroyed. Reinforcements are arriving to secure the planet. Millions of lives across multiple systems were saved. That's what Captain Doyen and the others died for. That has to be enough." Veltar studied this young human who carried such heavy responsibility. How do humans maintain morale when you accept such high casualty rates? How do you convince soldiers to fight when they know the odds? Nari thought about it for a long moment. We don't convince them, Commander. We give them a choice. Every human soldier volunteers to serve. We tell them the truth about war. We show them the statistics. We explain that they might die, might be injured, might see things that haunt them forever. And then we ask them if they still want to serve. And they say yes? Millions of them say yes, because humans understand something fundamental about civilization. Someone has to stand between the innocent and those who would harm them. Someone has to be willing to fight so others don't have to. We don't draft soldiers, Commander. We just give people the opportunity to be heroes, and humans love being heroes. Veltar left Nari to her thoughts and made his way to the command center. He had been working on something for the past 2 days. A classified report for Axiom High Command. A report that would change how the Axiom Federation viewed humanity forever. He sat at his terminal and reviewed the document one last time before sending it. The report was titled, Strategic Assessment, Human Military Capabilities and Recommendations. In it, Veltar detailed everything he had witnessed. The human ability to continue fighting through injuries. Their willingness to accept casualties. Their tactical flexibility and aggressive combat doctrine. Their psychological resilience. Their strange ability to transform fear into motivation. But the most important section was his recommendations. Veltar wrote, "It is the recommendation of this commander that the Axiom Federation maintain strong alliance with humanity at all costs. Furthermore, it is strongly advised that military conflict with human forces be avoided under any circumstances. This recommendation is not based on human technological superiority, as their equipment is merely adequate. It is not based on tactical genius, as their strategies are often reckless. It is based on something far more concerning. Humans do not fight wars to win. They fight wars to avoid losing. This is a crucial distinction. A species that fights to win will accept defeat when the cost becomes too high. Humans do not accept defeat. They will pay any cost, endure any hardship, and sacrifice any number to achieve their objectives. In every military engagement observed, human forces took casualties that would break any Axiom unit. Yet they continued fighting with increased determination. Each loss seemed to strengthen their resolve, rather than weaken it. This is psychologically opposite to every other species encountered. Most concerning is the human relationship with fear. Other species feel fear and respond logically by avoiding danger. Humans feel fear and respond by attacking it. They have weaponized their own mortality. They have transformed death from something to be avoided into a tool to be used. If humanity ever faces an existential threat, this galaxy will learn what humans become when they remove all restraints. We have observed them fighting with rules and limitations. We have seen them show mercy to enemies and compassion to allies. But underneath that civilization, there exists something that evolved on a planet where everything tried to kill it. Humanity survived their homeworld. Everything else on that planet did not. Any species that chooses war with humanity must understand they are not fighting soldiers. They are fighting survivors who have spent millions of years refusing to die. They will not quit. They will not surrender. They will not accept defeat. They will simply keep coming until their enemy breaks, or until there are no more humans left to fight. And given human reproduction rates and their willingness to colonize even the harshest worlds, there will always be more humans. The Hiveborn are learning this lesson now. Each victory against human forces costs them more than the victory is worth. Each defeat teaches humans how to fight them better. The Hiveborn may win individual battles, but they will lose the war because humans have decided they will lose the war. This commander has fought alongside many allies over a long career. None have inspired the same level of genuine fear as humans. Not fear of their weapons, not fear of their tactics, fear of their determination. Maintain the alliance, never make them enemies, and thank whatever fortune brought them to our side instead of against us. Veltar transmitted the report and leaned back in his chair. In a few hours, High Command would read it. They would probably think he had been traumatized by combat. They would question his conclusions, but they would also see the battle results. They would see that a small human force had accomplished what Axiom forces could not. They would see that the Hiveborn advance had been stopped, and they would have to consider his words carefully. A message appeared on his terminal. It was from Captain Doyen, sent before the final battle, a contingency message in case he did not survive. Veltar opened it with shaking hands. Commander Veltar, if you're reading this, I didn't make it. The human fleet arrived at the border system 6 days after Taman's announcement. Captain Nari stood on the bridge of the warship Defiant Hope and watched the tactical display. Her short black hair was tied back. Her uniform was simple and practical. She had spent 20 years in Earth's Navy before the unification. She had seen combat before, just never in space. All ships report ready, her first officer said. Lieutenant Deho had been with her for 5 years. He was young but reliable. Good, Nari said. Formation Echo 7. Spread out. I want at least 10,000 kilometers between each ship group. Deho looked confused. That breaks standard fleet doctrine. We should stay close for mutual support. Standard fleet doctrine is what got the coalition beaten for 3 years, Nari replied. We are not using their tactics. Pass the order. The human fleet split into small groups of 3 or 4 ships each. They spread across the system like seeds scattered in the wind. It looked disorganized. It looked wrong. Ma'am, we have incoming ships, the sensor officer called. Velcoran fleet. Numbers are, oh no. We count over 600 vessels. Nari had expected this. The Velcorans always used overwhelming force. They gathered massive fleets and crushed their enemies with pure numbers. It had worked for thousands of years. How many ships do we have here? She asked calmly. 217, ma'am. Then they have 3 times our numbers. Exactly what Admiral Hyun predicted. Nari smiled slightly. They think numbers are everything. Open a channel to all human ships. Battle frequency. Channel open, Captain. All ships, this is Nari. Remember your training. Do not engage their main battleships. Ignore their formation. Target their support vessels. Supply ships. Medical ships. Communication relays. Make them worry about their rear more than their front. And most importantly, talk to them. Talk to them? Someone asked. Yes, talk on every frequency. Tell them about Earth. Tell them about our wars. Tell them what we did to each other. Make them afraid. Nari's voice hardened. Fear is a weapon. Use it. The Velcoran fleet approached in perfect formation. Their ships were beautiful and terrible. Each one was designed for maximum combat efficiency. They had been built by a civilization that had mastered warfare 10,000 years ago. War Prince Cathax commanded the fleet from his flagship. He watched the human ships scatter and laughed. They panic already. They know they cannot win. His second officer, a veteran of 50 battles, watched the display carefully. Prince, their formation is unusual. They do not group together. Because they are primitives who do not understand space combat, Cathax said dismissively. We will destroy them in one strike. All ships advance. Target the largest human vessels first. The Velcoran fleet moved forward. Their weapons powered up. Shields reached maximum strength. They had done this countless times before. Then the humans attacked. But not the way anyone expected. Small groups of human ships darted forward. They moved fast, faster than their size suggested they could. They did not target the Velcoran battleships. Instead, they fired on fuel tankers and supply vessels at the back of the formation. Explosions bloomed across the rear of the Velcoran fleet. Not from destroyed ships, but from damaged ones. The humans aimed for engines and fuel tanks. They wanted to slow the support vessels down, not destroy them. What are they doing? Cathax demanded. Why attack the rear? His tactical officer studied the battle data. They are trying to separate our combat ships from our supply line. Fools. We have enough fuel and weapons for days of battle. This changes nothing. All ships, ignore the harassment. Continue forward. Destroy their capital ships. The Velcoran battleships advanced. Their massive weapons fired at the largest human vessels. Direct hits struck human shields. Several ships took heavy damage. One exploded completely, but the humans did not retreat. They did not try to engage the battleships directly. Instead, they kept moving. Small groups darted in and out, always targeting support vessels, always staying just out of range of the main weapons. Then the broadcast started. Every human ship began transmitting on all frequencies. Some played recordings of Earth's wars. Others had humans speaking directly to Velcoran crews. This is the human ship Thunder, one broadcast said. Do you know how many people died on Earth during our last global war? 80 million. We killed 80 million of our own species in 6 years. Do you know how? Bombs, chemical weapons, fire that burned entire cities. We did this to each other. Another broadcast showed images. Cities in ruins, bodies in streets, nuclear explosions, the horror of humanity's past. We unified 50 years ago, another human voice said. 50 years of peace. But we remember. Every human remembers. We know what war really means, do you? Cathax tried to block the broadcasts. They kept coming. Every frequency, every channel. Images and sounds of human warfare. The worst moments of Earth's history. Turn it off, he shouted. We cannot, Prince. They are broadcasting from every ship on rotating frequencies. One of Cathax's officers looked pale. He was young and had never seen anything like the images the humans broadcast. Prince, these creatures are monsters. They destroyed their own world. And survived, the tactical officer said quietly. That is the point. They survived doing this to themselves. 4 human ships suddenly broke from their pattern. They accelerated at maximum speed toward a damaged Velcoran supply ship. The Velcoran escorts moved to intercept, but the humans were too fast. They reached the supply ship and attached to its hull. They are boarding, someone shouted. Cathax watched in confusion. Why board a supply ship? It has no strategic value. The answer came 5 minutes later. The human ships detached and retreated. The supply ship's engines exploded. Not a huge explosion, just enough to cripple the vessel completely. They sabotaged it from inside, the tactical officer said. They boarded, planted explosives, and escaped before we could stop them. Barbaric, Cathax muttered. The battle continued for hours. The humans never tried to win a direct fight. They damaged ships without destroying them, crippled vessels that then needed rescue, forced the Velcoran fleet to slow down and help their wounded. Captain Nari watched her tactical display. Human losses were mounting. They had lost 20 ships so far, but the Velcoran advance had stopped completely. Their fleet was scattered across the system, trying to protect supply vessels and rescue damaged ships. Ma'am, 3 of our ships are critically damaged, Deho reported. Crews are requesting permission to retreat. Denied, Nari said. Tell them to aim for Velcoran medical ships, then abandon their vessels. Rescue boats will pick them up, but that means losing the ships. Yes, but it means the Velcorans will capture heavily damaged vessels full of wounded crew. They will have to provide medical care. It will slow them down more and show them we do not abandon our people even in defeat. It was a calculated move. Humans would lose ships but gain moral advantage. Show the enemy that humanity cared for its wounded. Make the Velcorans waste resources on human survivors. The 3 damaged human ships made suicide runs at Velcoran medical vessels. 2 were destroyed before reaching their targets. 1 managed to ram a medical ship, causing massive damage. Human escape pods launched in all directions. Velcoran ships had to stop fighting to rescue survivors. Their laws demanded it. More broadcasts flooded the system. Humans speaking calmly about their history, about Earth's wars, about weapons too terrible to describe, about conflicts that lasted decades, about the day humans finally stopped fighting each other. We learned something, one broadcast said. We learned that total war is possible. Complete destruction is possible. We learned that when everything is at risk, when survival is at stake, there are no rules, only victory or extinction. 8 hours into the battle, something unexpected happened. The Velcoran fleet began to retreat. Nari stared at her display. Confirm that. They are retreating? Yes, ma'am, the sensor officer said, disbelief in his voice. All Velcoran ships are withdrawing from the system. They are abandoning their position. But they were winning, Deho said. We lost more ships than they did. Numbers do not show everything, Nari said quietly. We lost ships. They lost confidence, she was right. On the Velcoran flagship, Cathax watched his fleet pull back. His officers had convinced him that staying was too dangerous. Not because they were losing the battle, but because they did not understand the enemy. These humans fight without honor, one officer said. Without rules, without mercy. They boarded our ships not to capture them, but to sabotage and escape. They damaged our vessels to make us slow down and rescue them. They broadcast images of their own atrocities to frighten us. The tactical officer looked at Cathax. Prince, these are not normal warriors. They are something else, Cathax wanted to argue. But he had watched the battle, seen the tactics, heard the broadcasts. The humans had not fought to win. They had fought to terrify. And it had worked. Withdraw to the secondary defensive line, he ordered. We will regroup and analyze their tactics. Then we will return with a proper strategy. It was the first time in 3 years the Velcoran Empire had abandoned a star system while holding numerical superiority. Coalition ships arrived an hour later. Ambassador Rin's species commanded the relief force. 3 weeks after the first battle, the war had changed completely. The Velcoran Empire still held more territory. They still had more ships, but their advance had stopped. Human tactics were spreading fear through their ranks. General Jiho stood in the command center of a coalition military base. He studied the holographic map of planet Meridian 7. The Velcorans had occupied this world for 8 months. 20 million coalition civilians lived under Velcoran rule. The locals had tried peaceful resistance. It had not worked. The garrison has 5,000 soldiers, an intelligence officer briefed. They control the capital city and 3 major settlements. Standard occupation force. They expect standard resistance. They will not get it, Jiho said. He was older than most human soldiers, with gray hair and calm eyes. He had fought in 3 of Earth's regional conflicts before the unification. He knew guerrilla warfare better than anyone alive. Sir, we have only 800 soldiers available for this mission, the officer said nervously. Against 5,000 entrenched defenders. I'm aware of the numbers, Jiho replied. Send the order. Operation Ghost begins tonight. Coalition commanders had objected to the plan. Direct assault would fail. Siege would take months. Negotiation had been tried and refused. They saw no path to victory. Humans saw only opportunity. That night, human soldiers infiltrated Meridian 7. They did not arrive in ships. They came hidden among refugee transports, disguised as coalition civilians fleeing other worlds. The Velcorans never suspected. They processed the refugees and sent them to camps in the cities. 20 human commandos entered the capital. 50 more spread across the settlements. They carried no heavy weapons, no armor, nothing that would identify them as soldiers. They blended into the refugee population and waited. Lieutenant Minho led a team in the capital city. He was young but trained in urban warfare. His team of 5 posed as a family seeking shelter. The Velcoran guards barely looked at them. This is too easy, one of his soldiers whispered. That is the point, Minho replied quietly. They think they have already won. Occupiers always make that mistake. The first strike came 3 days later. A Velcoran supply depot exploded at midnight. No one saw who planted the bombs. No one knew how they got past security. The fire burned for hours. The garrison commander increased patrols. More guards, more checkpoints. But the attacks continued. A communication relay destroyed. A vehicle depot sabotaged. Weapons went missing from armories. Every night brought new incidents. The Velcoran soldiers grew nervous. They could not find the enemy. Patrols found nothing. Security footage showed civilians but no soldiers. The garrison commander demanded answers. His officers had none. These are not random attacks, the tactical officer reported. Someone is coordinating them, but we cannot identify who. The refugee population is too large. Thousands of coalition civilians. Then question them all, the commander ordered. Find the resistance fighters. That was the mistake Jiho had been waiting for. Velcoran soldiers began randomly detaining civilians for interrogation. Innocent people were held for hours. Homes were searched without cause. The local population, already unhappy, became actively hostile. More humans infiltrated the cities, not as soldiers but as organizers. They taught civilians how to resist safely, small acts of defiance, broken equipment, lost supplies, information passed to the wrong people. Nothing that would get innocents killed, but everything that would make occupation harder. Minho's team struck the garrison headquarters on the 10th night. They climbed through drainage systems the Velcorans did not know existed, planted explosives in power conduits. The entire complex lost electricity for 6 hours. In the darkness and confusion, 3 more supply warehouses were destroyed. The garrison commander sent a message to War Prince Cathax. The situation is deteriorating. Recommend reinforcements. Cathax sent his best counterinsurgency officer. Commander Vexwrath had crushed rebellions on 12 worlds. He arrived with 500 additional soldiers and new scanning equipment designed to find hidden enemies. Humans are behind this, Vexwrath announced. I recognize their tactics. They are specialists in this type of warfare. We will find them and eliminate them. He increased security again. Random searches became constant. Curfews were enforced. Anyone suspicious was detained. The occupation became brutal. That was when General Jiho began the second phase. Human soldiers stopped hiding. They started broadcasting. Every screen in the capital suddenly showed the same thing. A human in simple clothes speaking calmly in the Velkaran language. The translation was perfect. My name is General Jiho. I command human forces on this world. You know us now. You have felt our attacks. You wonder how we operate, how we hide, how we strike. I will tell you. The broadcast showed images of Earth, cities and forests and oceans. Beautiful but dangerous, this is our world. Gravity 1.5 times what you consider normal. Atmosphere with oxygen levels that would poison most species. Weather that kills the unprepared. Predators that hunt in packs. We evolved here. We adapted here. We became predators ourselves, more images. Human history. Ancient wars. Medieval battles. Modern conflicts. We have fought for survival since we first stood upright. We fought animals. We fought nature. We fought each other. For 200,000 years, war was our constant companion. We became very good at it. The broadcast showed guerrilla warfare from Earth's history. Resistance fighters. Underground movements. Civilians hiding soldiers. All the tactics humans had perfected over millennia. You wonder how 800 soldiers hide among 20 million civilians. Because we taught those civilians how to resist. We showed them that occupation only works if the occupied cooperate. We reminded them they outnumber you 4,000 to 1. Vexrath tried to shut down the broadcast. It kept coming back. Different frequencies. Different systems. The humans had infiltrated every communication network on the planet. You are soldiers, Jiho continued, born into military service. Trained for conventional warfare. You fight with honor and rules. This is admirable. But we do not have that luxury. Humans fight to survive. We use every advantage, every tactic, every weapon. There are no rules when existence is at stake. The broadcast showed more of Earth's wars. Chemical weapons, firebombing, nuclear explosions. The worst moments of human history displayed without apology. We did this to ourselves, Jiho said quietly. We nearly destroyed our own species. Multiple times. We know what total war looks like. What complete commitment means. What happens when survival is the only goal. Velkoran soldiers watching the broadcast felt something they rarely experienced. Fear. These creatures had almost exterminated themselves and survived. What would they do to an enemy? I offer you a choice, Jiho said. Withdraw from this world peacefully. Leave the civilians unharmed. Or stay and learn what happens when humans stop being merciful. We have shown restraint so far. But we remember how to fight without limits. Do you want to discover what that means? The broadcast ended. Silence filled the garrison headquarters. Vexrath looked at his soldiers. Many appeared shaken. These were veterans of multiple campaigns. They should not be afraid of an enemy they outnumbered, but fear was spreading. Because humans were different. Every species in the galaxy fought for glory or territory or resources. Humans fought for survival. That made them unpredictable. Dangerous, willing to do anything. That night, 200 more humans infiltrated the planet. But this time, they did not hide. They walked openly through the streets. Coalition civilians greeted them, offered shelter, provided information. The entire population had become part of the resistance. Velkoran patrols could no longer tell civilians from soldiers. Everyone was a potential threat. Every building could hide enemies. Every crowd could conceal an attack. The occupation had become impossible. Vexrath sent an urgent message to Cathax. We cannot hold this world without killing the entire civilian population. The humans have turned the locals against us. Recommend immediate withdrawal or massive reinforcements. At the Galactic Council, emergency sessions were being held. Species that had ignored the war were suddenly paying attention. Because something disturbing had been discovered. Scientist Hana had provided data about Earth to the Council. Environmental readings, biological studies, geological surveys. The information was shocking. Earth is classified as a death world, Council leader Vexthorn announced. His voice carried unusual emotion. Class 7 on the habitability scale. This means it should not support intelligent life at all. Species murmured in confusion. Ambassador Rin looked at Ambassador Taman. What does this mean? It means humans are from a world where survival is a daily challenge, a xenobiologist explained. Gravity 50% higher than standard. Dangerous weather patterns. Thousands of predator species. Extreme temperature variations, disease, natural disasters. Everything on Earth tries to kill everything else. And humans survived this? Someone asked. Not just survived, thrived, dominated. Humans are apex predators on a world of apex predators. The scientists displayed more data. Their bone density is twice ours. Muscle structure designed for high gravity. Pain tolerance beyond what we consider possible. They heal from injuries that would kill most species. 2 months had passed since humanity joined the war. The Velcoran Empire still controlled most of the disputed territory. They still had more ships and soldiers, but their advance had completely stopped. Their forces were retreating to defensive positions. Their commanders were afraid to engage human forces. Ambassador Rin met with Ambassador Taman at a coalition military station. The blue-skinned diplomat looked exhausted but hopeful. His species had been losing for 3 years. Now for the first time they were not losing anymore. Your people have changed everything, Rin said. 3 liberation campaigns this month. 7 successful defensive actions. The Velcorans are confused and scared. But I must ask something difficult. Ask, Taman replied. What happens after we win this war? Rin's expression showed genuine worry. Your species fights like nothing we have ever seen. You terrify the enemy. You terrify us too. When the Velcorans surrender, what will humans do? Taman understood the question. Coalition species had accepted human help because they were desperate. But now they wondered if they had replaced one dangerous enemy with another. He answered honestly. That depends on what the galaxy learns from this war. Humans do not want to rule others. We do not want an empire. We want to be left alone. To grow at our own pace. To choose our own path, he paused. But we also want respect. Recognition that Earth cannot be threatened. If the galaxy understands this, we will return home and rebuild. If not, we will make sure everyone remembers why threatening humans is a mistake. Before Rin could respond, alarm sounded. A junior officer rushed into the room. Sirs, we have a situation. The Velcoran main fleet is moving, heading toward the fortress world of Takara 5. Takara 5 was the last major defensive position between Velcoran space and Coalition core worlds. If it fell, the war would be over. The Coalition would have to surrender. How many ships? Taman asked. Over 800. War Prince Cathax himself is commanding. This is their final push. If they take Takara 5, we lose. Taman activated his communication device. Admiral Hyun's face appeared. I heard. The fleet is ready. Captain Nari will lead the first wave. We are sending everything we have. How many ships can we deploy? Taman asked. 300. Maybe 320 if we strip defensive positions. Hyun's expression was serious. Not enough to win a direct battle. But Captain Nari has a plan. What kind of plan? The kind that will end this war. One way or another. The human fleet arrived at Takara 5 before the Velcoran armada. Captain Nari stood on the bridge of Defiant Hope and studied the tactical display. The fortress world was heavily defended. Orbital stations. Defensive satellites. Coalition ships already in position. But it would not be enough. Ma'am, Velcoran fleet will arrive in 4 hours, Diho reported. Should we form up with coalition forces? No, Nari said. She had been studying Velcoran tactics for 2 months. She understood War Prince Cathax now. He was proud but not stupid. He learned from mistakes. This time he would not underestimate humans. He would come prepared for guerrilla tactics and psychological warfare, so humans would have to do something completely different. Contact scientist Hana. Tell her to prepare the package, and open a channel to all human ships. Battle frequency. Channel open, Captain. All ships, this is Nari. Today we end this war. Not through fear. Not through tricks. Through showing the galaxy what humans are truly capable of when we stop holding back. Operation Final Option is now active. God help us all. Scientist Hana worked quickly in the weapons lab of her research vessel. She had spent 2 months developing new weapons based on human technology. Nothing fancy. Nothing alien. Just simple physics applied in ways the galaxy had never considered. The kinetic weapons are ready, she reported to Nari. Tungsten rods, each weighing 50 tons. Accelerated to 0.9 light speed. They will bypass energy shields completely. And the other package? Nari asked. Hana hesitated. Ready, but Captain, are you certain? If we deploy those, there is no going back. The galaxy will know what humans can do. They will never trust us again. They do not trust us now, Nari replied. Better they fear what we can do than doubt whether we will do it. Load the weapons. Prepare for war, Prince Cathax. The Velcoran fleet arrived in perfect formation. 800 warships, the pride of the Empire. Cathax had stripped defensive positions across Velcoran space to assemble this force. Everything depended on victory here. Human fleet is in position, his tactical officer reported. 300 ships. They appeared to be forming a standard defensive line. Cathax studied the display suspiciously. Humans do not use standard formations. What are they planning? Unknown, Prince. Should we advance? Cautiously. Be ready for anything. A message came through on all channels. Captain Nari's face appeared. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were hard. War Prince Cathax, this is Captain Nari of Earth's Defense Force. I am offering terms of surrender. Cathax laughed. The sound echoed through his bridge. You offer me surrender? With 300 ships against 800? You are insane. Perhaps, Nari agreed. But I am giving you one chance. Withdraw all forces from coalition space. Agree to war crime tribunals for your commanders. Pay reparations for damages. Surrender now and your species survives. Survives? Cathax's amusement faded. You threaten the Velcoran Empire. We have ruled this sector for 10,000 years. You ruled it, Nari corrected. Past tense. Your empire ends today. You can end it with dignity or we end it for you. Choose. I choose to crush your pathetic fleet. Cathax roared. All ships advance. Maximum firepower. Destroy them! The Velcoran fleet moved forward. Their weapons powered up. This time there would be no tricks. No harassment of supply ships. Pure overwhelming force. The way the Empire had always fought. Nari watched them come. Fire kinetic weapons. Full barrage. Human ships launched hundreds of projectiles. They looked simple. Just metal rods. No explosives. No guidance systems. Just mass and velocity. The Velcoran saw them coming and laughed. Their shields could stop anything. The tungsten rods passed through the shields like they did not exist. Energy shields stopped energy weapons. These were not energy. They were solid matter moving at incredible speed. Pure kinetic force. The rods struck Velcoran ships with devastating effect. Hulls punctured. Reactors breached. Dozens of ships crippled in seconds. The formation broke apart as ships tried to evade. But the rods were too fast, too many. Too simple to stop. Impossible, Cathax shouted. Their weapons bypass our shields. Prince, we must retreat and adapt our defenses. No, we still outnumber them. All ships, return fire. Destroy the humans. Velcoran weapons hammered human shields. Ships took damage. Several exploded. But the human fleet held position. They did not retreat. They did not scatter. They simply absorbed the punishment and kept firing kinetic weapons. Ma'am, we have lost 40 ships, Deho reported. His voice shook. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Casualties mounting. Hold position, Nari ordered. Prepare the second package. Captain, are you certain? If we deploy those, I know exactly what happens, Nari interrupted. War Prince Cathax has to understand. Some species cannot be conquered. Some wars cannot be won. Send the order to Admiral Hyun. Request permission for Protocol Omega. On Earth, Admiral Hyun received the request. He sat in the command center with the leaders of Earth's government. They had known this moment might come. The decision was already made. He just had to execute it. Permission granted, Hyun said quietly. God forgive us, Nari received confirmation. She opened a channel to the Velcoran fleet. War Prince Cathax, I showed you our kinetic weapons. Simple technology, primitive by your standards, but effective. Now I will show you something else. Something we hoped we would never have to use again. Human ships launched new missiles, smaller than the kinetic weapons. Only 200 of them. They moved quickly through space, heading not toward the Velcoran fleet but toward the system's star. What are those? Cathax demanded. His science officer analyzed the missiles and went pale. Prince, those are nuclear weapons, fusion devices. They are heading for the star. To do what? Stars cannot be damaged by such primitive weapons. Not damaged, destabilized. If they detonate at specific points in the solar atmosphere, they could trigger a cascade reaction. The star would go supernova. Silence filled the Velcoran bridge. Every officer stared at the display. The humans had just launched enough weapons to destroy the entire star system. They would kill everyone. Both fleets, the fortress world, themselves, everything. They are bluffing, Cathax said. But his voice lacked confidence. No species would commit suicide. Nari's voice came through again. We are not bluffing. Humans have a saying from our ancient wars: mutually assured destruction. If we cannot have peace, if you will not stop your conquest, then no one gets to survive. This is your final warning. Withdraw now or we destroy this system and take you with us. You would kill yourselves. Kill billions of your own allies? Kathax could not believe it. We already told you about our history, Nari replied. We used nuclear weapons on our own cities. Killed millions of our own people. When survival is at stake, humans will do anything. We unified by learning this lesson. Now you will learn it. You have 30 minutes to withdraw. After that, the missiles detonate. Choose. The treaty signing took place on a human vessel. This was deliberate. The Velcoran Empire had requested neutral ground. Ambassador Taman refused. If the Empire wanted peace, they would come to Earth's terms. They would sign aboard a human warship. They would acknowledge humanity's victory completely. War Prince Kathax arrived with a small delegation. He looked older than he had 3 months ago. The war had aged him. Defeat had humbled him. He stood in the conference room of the Defiant Hope and looked at the humans waiting for him. Captain Nari, who had commanded the fleet that forced his retreat. General Jiho, whose guerrilla tactics had broken Velcran occupation forces. Scientist Hana, who had created weapons that bypassed Velcaran defenses. Admiral Hyun, who had authorized the nuclear threat. And Ambassador Taman, who had started this entire war with a simple declaration. Let us begin, Taman said. His voice was neutral, professional. This was not about revenge. This was about establishing the future. The terms were harsh but fair. All occupied coalition worlds would be returned. All Velcaran forces would withdraw to their original borders. War criminals would face tribunals. Reparations would be paid. But the Velcoran Empire itself would not be destroyed. Their government would remain. Their civilization would continue. Why? Kathax asked quietly. You could demand more. Take Velcoran territory. Force us to disarm completely. Why show mercy? Because humans remember when we needed mercy, Taman replied. After our worst wars, we had to rebuild, to forgive, to move forward. If we had demanded total destruction of our enemies, we would still be fighting. Mercy is not weakness. It is the foundation of lasting peace. Kathax studied the human ambassador. Your species is strange. You fight without rules. Use fear as a weapon. Threaten mutual destruction. Then offer mercy. I do not understand you. You do not need to understand us, Taman said. You need to respect us. Understand that Earth cannot be conquered. That humans will fight to the last rather than submit. That we make better allies than enemies. If you understand that peace is possible, the treaty was signed. The war officially ended. News spread across the galaxy within hours. The Velcoran Empire, which had never lost a war in 10,000 years, had surrendered to a species that had only been in space for 5 years. The Galactic Council held an emergency session. The chamber was more crowded than ever. Every species wanted to discuss the implications of humanity's victory. Council leader Vexthorn called the meeting to order. The war is over, he announced. The coalition has been saved. The Velcoran Empire has agreed to peace, all due to human intervention. The question now is what comes next. Multiple ambassadors spoke at once. Some praised humanity. Others expressed fear. Several demanded that humans be given a permanent council seat. Others argued that humans should be restricted, limited, controlled before they became too dangerous. Ambassador Taman listened to the debate. He did not interrupt. He let them talk. Let them argue. Let them reveal their fears and prejudices. Finally, Vexthorn asked him to respond. Taman stood. The chamber grew quiet. Everyone wanted to hear what humans would say, what demands they would make, what price they would extract for their victory. Humans do not want to rule the galaxy, Taman began. We do not want an empire. We do not want to control others. We fought because the coalition asked for help, because we understood that if the empire conquered them, Earth would eventually be threatened. We fought for survival, for recognition, for the right to exist without fear. He paused and looked around the chamber. Many of you are afraid of us now. You saw what we did, how we fought, what we threatened. You wonder if humans are too dangerous to trust. I will answer that honestly. Yes, we are dangerous. Because our world made us that way. Because we evolved as predators. Because we learned warfare from 10,000 years of fighting each other. We are dangerous because we had to be to survive. Several species shifted uncomfortably. Taman continued. But being dangerous does not make us evil. Humans could have demanded Velcoran territory. We could have taken colonies. We could have established ourselves as the new dominant power. We did not. We asked for peace, for fair terms, for the war to end. That should tell you something about our intentions. What do humans want? Ambassador Rin asked. His species owed humanity everything, but even he was uncertain about the future. We want to be left alone, Taman said simply, to develop at our own pace, to explore space on our terms, to trade fairly with any species that wishes to trade with us, to defend ourselves if threatened, and to never be underestimated again. You want a council seat, Vexthorn said. It was not a question. We have earned a council seat, Taman corrected. We saved the coalition, defeated the Empire, proved ourselves capable. Yes, we want formal recognition, a voice in galactic affairs, the same rights other species enjoy. If that is unacceptable, tell us now. We will return to Earth and let you handle future conflicts without us. The threat was clear. Humans could leave, return to their home system, but the galaxy now knew what they were capable of. Future enemies would know humans existed, would know what happened when Earth was threatened. That knowledge would make every conflict more dangerous. I propose humanity be granted permanent council membership, Rin said. They proved themselves in battle. They showed mercy and victory. They asked for respect, not dominance. I see no reason to refuse. The vote was not unanimous. Several species abstained. Some voted against, but the majority agreed. Humans would have a permanent seat on the Galactic Council. Earth would be recognized as a major power. Humanity's role in the galaxy was official. Captain Nari received a new assignment. She would command the Joint Coalition Human Defense Fleet, a combined force designed to prevent future wars. Many species were uncomfortable with humans in this role, but no one could argue with results. Nari had proven herself the most effective military commander in recent history. This is a big responsibility, Rin told her during the handover ceremony. Many species will be watching, waiting for humans to abuse this power. Then we will prove them wrong, Nari replied. The fleet exists to defend, not conquer. To protect the weak, not threaten them. Humans understand the difference. We learned it through our own mistakes. General Jiho began teaching coalition officers about unconventional warfare, not because they wanted to use his tactics, but because they needed to understand them. Other species might copy human methods. Future enemies would study what worked. The galaxy needed to be ready. His classes were difficult. He did not soften the reality of guerrilla warfare, did not make it sound noble or honorable. He showed it as it was, brutal, effective, and morally complex. War is not glorious, he told his students. It is horror. Humans know this because we experienced it ourselves. We show you these tactics not to celebrate them, but to prepare you, so you can defend against them. So you never become the monsters we had to be. Scientist Hana began sharing human technology with coalition species, medical advances, agricultural techniques, manufacturing processes, things that would help civilizations recover from the war. She deliberately shared only peaceful technology. Nothing military. Humans would maintain their tactical advantage. Why share anything? A Velcoran scientist asked during a joint conference. You won. You could keep your advantages. Because peace requires cooperation, Hana explained. Humans do not want to be the only advanced species. We want partners, equals, friends. Helping others become stronger makes everyone safer. That is how humans unified Earth, by realizing we were better together than divided. 5 years passed. The galaxy adjusted to the new reality. Humans were here. They were powerful. They were dangerous. But they were also reliable. They defended coalition space, mediated disputes, provided aid to struggling worlds. They kept their promises, honored their treaties, proved themselves trustworthy even as they remained feared. Ambassador Taman met with former War Prince Cathax during a diplomatic conference. Cathax had been demoted after the surrender. He now served as a minor ambassador. The Empire had survived, but its pride had not. Losing to humans had changed Velcoran culture completely. I have a question, Cathax said. During the war, you threatened to destroy the star. To kill everyone, including yourselves. Were you truly willing to do that? Taman considered the question carefully. Honestly, I do not know. Admiral Hyun authorized it. Captain Nari deployed the weapons. But whether we would have actually detonated them, that remained uncertain. We hoped we would never find out. But you made us believe you would. That was enough. Yes. Because sometimes the threat is more powerful than the action. We learned that from our history. Nuclear weapons kept peace on Earth for 50 years not because anyone used them, but because everyone feared them. Fear prevented war. Fear created peace. It is a terrible way to maintain order, but it works. Cathax nodded slowly. The Empire spent 10,000 years believing strength meant conquest. That power meant domination. You taught us that real strength is restraint. That real power is knowing what you can do and choosing not to. That is a hard lesson. But necessary, Taman said. Humans learned it the same way. Through failure, through loss,